Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on when you're watching this. It's your boy, Mr. Malachi, and we will be going through some level 3 type question. So we have a simultaneous equation in front of us, and what we need to do is we need to solve that simultaneous equation. We need to solve for the values of x, which there's going to be two of them, and we need to solve for the values of y, which there's going to be two of them as well. So what do we do first? So whenever you're given a simultaneous equation, we start by numbering our equations. I'm going to number the first one equation 1. I'm going to number the second one equation 2. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to take equation 1 because that's easier to work with. And I'm going to simplify it and work with it and manipulate it so much so that I can take it and substitute it in equation 2. So what do I need to do? I'm going to change this 9 into a base of 3. And a 9 is a 3 to the power of 2. And all of this is to the power of y. I'm going to change the a to 1 into a base of 3 as well. And that is 3 to the power of 4. It helps if you know your powers of 3s and your powers of 2s and so on and so on, right? So at this point, I'm going to keep the 3 to the power of x. This 2 and this y are going to multiply, giving me a 2y. And all of this is equal to a 3 to the power of 4. Then once I have that, I'm going to add these exponents since the bases are the same. And that will give me a x plus a 2y all equal to a 3 to the power of 4. Then at this point, I can use the fact that the bases are the same. So if the bases are the same, I can make the exponents equal to each other. So I can say x plus a 2y is equal to a 4. And then in this, it is quite easy for me to make x the subject. So I will just take the 2y to the other side. And so x is equal to 4 minus a 2y. And I'm going to call this equation 3. And that equation 3, I'm going to take it and I'm going to substitute it wherever I see x in equation 2. So in this position here and in this position there. So let's substitute it. But before we substitute, let's just write that we are substituting. So we are subbing equation 3 into equation 2. And how does that look? We're going to have a 2 to the power of 4 minus 2y over a 2 to the y all to the power of 4 minus 2y is equal to a 4. Right? And in this equation, we need to simplify and solve for y. So what do I do first? I'm going to work with this guy inside of the bracket first. They're both bases of 2, so I could just subtract the exponents. And when I subtract the exponents, I have a 4 minus a 2y minus the y there. So if I'm subtracting the y at the bottom, I'll end up getting 2 to the power of 4 minus 3y all to the power of 4 minus 2y is equal to a 4. How did I get the 3y? I said 4 minus 2y minus y, and this will give me 4 minus 3y. So that's how I got the 4 minus 3y inside of the brackets. Then this exponent and this exponent needs to multiply. But I'm not going to multiply it now. I'm just going to keep it in brackets. So I'm going to say 3y, that's my first binomial that needs to multiply with this second binomial. And at the same time, I'm going to change this 4 to be a base of 2. And if it's a base of 2, it's 2 to the power of 2. Then at this point, I can just equate the exponents because the bases are the same. So if I equate the exponents, I'm going to have a bracket 4 minus 3y that is multiplying a 4 minus 2y all equal to a positive 2. Where am I getting the positive 2 on the right hand side? I'm getting it from this exponent there. Alright, so at this point I could just multiply to get rid of those brackets. So this 4 times a 4 is a 16. A 4 times the negative 2 is a negative 8y. Negative 3y with that gives me a negative 12y. And lastly, negative 3y with the negative 2y gives me a positive 6y squared. And then I get that. Then I just collect my like terms. I'm going to write the squared term first. That gives me a negative 20y. And 16 minus a 2 would give me a 14. And that's how it looks in standard form. And at this point, I notice that there's a common factor that I can take out there or divide with. So I'm going to divide this by 2, this by 2, and this by 2. And if I divide, I end up getting a 3y squared minus a 10y plus a 7 is equal to 0. Right, so this is a trinomial that you can factorize, or rather get the solutions of y there from using your quadratic equation. That's one way to do it, but I know how to factorize that. So I'm going to factorize it. I'm going to take this 3, multiply across to the 7. That's how I factorize these. The y squared is going to be left by itself. The 10y is still there, and the 3 times a 7 is a 21. So I get this expression. And in this expression, if I factorize for y, factors of 21 that add to give me a negative 7 is a negative 10 is a negative 7 and a negative 3, right? But just as much as I times across with that guy, I need to come back and divide every single factor with that same 3. So I divide this by 3 and I divide this by 3. And what I'll end up getting is that this first bracket does not simplify. So I'll just write it as y minus 7 over 3. The second bracket does simplify and it gives me a negative 1. And at this point, it's quite easy to see what your y values are. Y is equal to a positive 7 over 3 and y is equal to a positive 1. So are we done? We are not done. We've just solved for y. We need to go back and substitute them back into which equation? Equation 3. There's it there. So in this equation here, I need to substitute it back and solve for x. So let's have a look. So if I substitute the first one, the first value was a 7 over 3. If I substitute the 7 over 3, what x value am I going to get? Negative 2, 7 over 3. I get a 4 minus a 14 over 3. And if you subtract those, you should be getting x is equal to a negative 2 over 3. You can use your calculator for that. You can try subtracting them using LCD. Point is, that's the x value you're going to get for this y value. And then if I substitute the second y value, which is y is equal to 1, I say x is equal to 4 minus, how does it look there? It's a minus 2, and in brackets I'm substituting a 1. And if you do that, you get that x is equal to a positive 2. So there's my two x values. And if you wanted to write this as a coordinate, it's a 2 and a 1. And the top guy is a negative 2 over 3 with a 7 over 3. And these are my values. And there we go. That's it from my side. I hope this made sense. These are the level 3 type questions you get in your test and exams. And yeah, I hope this video kind of alleviates some fear from your side. All right, thank you.